Well, joined now by Mr. Laulu Akonde, who is the Senior Special Assistant to the Vice President on Media. He joins us from our studios in Abuja. Morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, the Vice President did have very strong words there for the civil service in terms of what goes on and what needs to be done. But how did they know, I mean, did they, or have they already had this experience in a very short time in governance already?
Thank you, Chamberlain. Now, I'm sure that if you ask the average Nigerian on the street, we all know the impact that corruption has had in virtually every sector and every arm of government. So it doesn't require, so much of an inquiry to find out exactly what is going on. But what the Vice President was trying to do was not to poo-poo the civil service. He was trying to say, look, we know what the situation is, and the government of President Buhari is here to set things straight, to inspire the civil service, to fire their imagination, and to turn the civil service into the agency that will deliver the change that has been promised.
Well, the thing is, there's been several reforms, reports, committees, right from the Udoji one, the Ayida one, it all just lying down there. How are they planning to approach this restructuring exercise of the civil service?
Well, I mean, that's what I just tried to explain right now, that the attitude of the President Buhari administration is to say to the civil service, as we are saying to other sectors of the country, that look, change has come. The country does have an opportunity, all of us, to bring the desired changes in this country. And so we are saying that it's time again to think big. It's time again to imagine great things. It's time again for us to look beyond the obstacles, whether it's the past arrangement of military rule, whatever may have been responsible for the problems of the past. We are saying that the time has come for us to make a change, to think of great things, to imagine that Nigeria can do great things, to imagine that the purpose for which this country came together is to deliver, to the people of this country. So we're not talking specifically of any kind of restructuring right now, but we are saying that we want the civil service and other sectors of the Nigerian state and economy to begin to have the mindset that great things are going to happen. We require all hands on deck. We need to terminate corruption, and we are also going to do all these things together.
In other words, there isn't going to be any reference whatsoever to all of those previous reports. You're just saying, look, we need to do things differently, and so shall it be.
No, I've not said that, Chamberlain. I'm sure that at the appropriate time, if we need to review some of those reports, we will review it. I'm just saying that specifically, there hasn't been any decision taken. Some of these things are in review as we speak. And when we get to the point of making policy statements or releasing white papers where they have not been done regarding some of those reports, it will be done. I'm saying that the important thing for us now is to fire the imagination of our people, the people in the civil service. The problem, as the Vice President said in the speech of the President that he read last week, is not about poverty of ideas. We have people in the civil service who are extremely brilliant people. So we don't think that, they don't have the ideas. No, that's not the problem. The problem is to have a leadership that can set before the Nigerian people, including the civil service, a vision of a great Nigeria. And that is what we have in President Buhari. You heard what Mr. Ajayi said, that based on the fact that President Buhari is in office, people are sitting up. Now, that is what we're talking about. And so we are saying that, look, this is the right leadership that we need. This is the man that can take Nigeria, including the civil service, to where it ought to be. Let us all be fired up and let us get the job done.
So in other words, what we're basically doing right now is motivational speaking.
is part of it. But that is not the only thing that we are doing, as you know. We are dealing with the problem of corruption. This government is very clear, and I'm sure that the masses of Nigerians, the vast majority of Nigerians are very clear on the issue of corruption, that if we don't deal with corruption, corruption will deal with us. If we don't bring it down very significantly, it can actually bring the country down. So we're not just doing motivational speaking. Now that is important. We need to fire ourselves up. We need to create a vision of a great Nigeria. But more than that, government is taking specific policies, the TSA, for instance, and all the things that we are doing, trying to correct the impression of corruption, trying to change the mindset, trying to explain to Nigerians and to ourselves that the problem with corruption is that it brings disorder. It brings disorder in every other facet of our life. And so if we don't set the order back to where it ought to be by fighting corruption, then we cannot actually proceed in doing anything. So it's not just motivational speaking, but of course, yes, we have to fire the imagination of ourselves and the people. But it's more than that. There are also specific policies, some of which we have already been outlining.
Well, talking about this war against corruption, just yesterday, the NLC had a march nationwide. What do you make? I mean, because it would seem that they're buying very much into this war against corruption. Well, how do you intend, or how does this administration intend to take it from there?
Well, it's going to come from different angles. For instance, you know that the president has set up an investigative committee to probe procurement in the military. The NNPC is trying to, with a new group managing director, trying to fix what is going on. There are several levels where work is going on trying to understand what happened and trying to ensure that there is consequence. This is a very important thing. There has to be consequence for all, for what has happened in the past. We can't just, paper over it. There has to be consequence. We need to make the point that the wealth of Nigeria belongs to everybody. And so you just can't come in and pocket the resources, the commonwealth of the people of the nation without having to pay for that in some form. So you're going to see quite a bit of that to establish, again, like I said, order. That look, if you stole public resources, there has to be consequences, and so that the message is sent out to the society and say, look, a new dawn is here. Things will be done rightly. So again, we're going to be seeing a lot of these probes.
Yes, indeed. He'll be back to just keep the fire on. You can see how
fired up
he is about it. But he did say, look, they'll make those specific comments when the time does come, because yeah, we did ask, is it just going to keep motivating them, get them fired up? But people need specific actions, specific tailor certain things in a particular way. We did bring up all of those several committee reports. Look at that, from 1970s they've had different commissions, different reports, even to few years ago. How would they approach it specifically? Well, a good thing, they're talking about their mindsets, which is key, reorientating them. But I'm seeing a lot of comments also, lots of disagreements. Some say civil service is not as corrupt as you think. But you have Jace who says that, look, the civil service and civil servants are as corrupt as politicians. Reforms are needed. And so that's how divided they are on Twitter about what needs to be done. But I imagine that the presidency are all united in their resolve to ensure that, look, they do things properly. There will be consequences, he says.
That's what he said. He talked about consequences. He also spoke about, this war against corruption. When we're all on the same page or in the fight against corruption, it's just that it seems that everybody has a different perspective. So the labor unions had their protest, or beg your pardon, march, and it was demanding good governance. It would seem that they were more specific, speaking to the politicians. But let us see how it is that the politicians too can say that you can help us in this particular battle. We don't know if there is any you know, engagement in that particular regard. And I don't know how it is or what response that, you know, the presidency, or speaking because we're looking more at the presidency now, what sort of response they have received in terms of their the battle. And I think that there will be quite a number of battles ahead with labor unions, restructuring, if we're also going to be getting mergers and
of some ministries.
Of some ministries with some others. How is it that these unions are going to be responding to that? If, for instance, we're talking pay cuts, we're going to be talking pay cuts, we're going to be talking wage increases.
That's the other thing I was going to bring up to
how is that going to work as well?
Yeah, because in 2001, there was this report of the Auditor General of the Federation to the National Assembly, where they were talking about some ministries, about 15 of them were indicted, and so there were suggestions too in terms of how they needed to restructure those ones. Are they going to now talk about merging, and how will they be accepted? Lagos is doing something about that in terms of how they're restructuring, merging and bringing them together.